Hello, everyone. This is Dana Shibley with the company Verifile. Let's go ahead and begin the presentation. If you have any questions at all that pop up during the presentation, please feel free to type those into the questions area of the webinar interface, and someone from Verifile will be certain to follow up with you shortly. All of us here at Verifile are extremely pleased about the partnership that we have in place with NSA. In fact, NSA is one of our longest standing industry partners. All of you as NSA members should know that you get access to the paid version, the premium version of Verifile, which is Verifyle Pro, at no charge to you or anyone at all with whom you would like to share information. You get access to the full suite of capabilities inside of Verifyle Pro, including the ability to brand it as you would like, and also unlimited electronic signatures capability. You can access your Verifyle Pro system by simply going to verifyle.com and typing in the email address by which NSA recognizes you to be a member. Again, go to verifyle.com, click sign in for free, and then sign in using the email address by which NSA recognizes you to be a member. If you don't use that email address, then shortly you will be asked for a credit card number, which you should not have to supply because NSA has picked up that tab for you. Okay, quick caveat here. I am not a tax or an accounting expert, but I'm going to show you some general sharing examples to really stress key concepts for use behind Verifile and get you up and rolling with it as quickly as possible. And for any of you who are already users of Verifile, yes, I will be showing you some recent feature additions to Verifile as well. There are people currently using Verifile for secure sharing purposes. Others use it for secure storage purposes. Many professionals use Verifile primarily for sharing information securely with colleagues and perhaps other professionals and so on and so forth. And there are many tax professionals who use Verifile exclusively for securely sharing information back and forth with their clients. Others still use it for selective, secure sharing of sensitive personal and family information. We'll look at a number of these examples going forward. First, let me give you some quick background about Verifile. We're based in Silicon Valley. We're led by Jack Smith, who invented and co-founded the company Hotmail, which was many people's first experience with both email and the internet, and ultimately grew to about 500 million users. He also had key roles with two successful digital security companies, Ironport and Proximex. Verifile is all about making communication better. And we see two key aspects of communication. Those are security and productivity, neither of which should come at the expense of usability. The reason we place such persistent emphasis on security is that we believe the near-term future of business will be characterized by two types of organizations and professionals: those who make that extra effort to protect and secure their own information and that of their constituents and continue to reap the long-term trust relationship benefits that derive from that, and those organizations and professionals that don't protect that information and continue to see a gradual erosion in those trust relationships. So we believe the dividing line between these two types of professionals is going to continue to crystallize over the next several years, and we want to make sure that all of our users fall on the positive side of that line. So what is Verifile? Verifile is ultra secure messaging and document sharing and storage, all on a single screen, where in that single screen for each situation that you're working on, whether that be a client engagement, project management, or any kind of sharing or storage of sensitive information, you can see exactly who has access to what information and if and when any single individual has looked at or downloaded any information. So you always have a very heightened sense of situational awareness about not only what's going on in your communications from your perspective, but what's happening on the other side of that communication as well. You can think of Verifile as your all-in-one communication power tool, specifically designed for those situations that you have to be absolutely on top of, that must be well organized, and above all, private and secure. Now, in our secure single screen, we've incorporated the most powerful components of email, cloud file sharing, unlimited electronic signatures, and our patented encryption key management technology, CellUcrypt, which manages the interaction of 6 different encryption keys for each time that any individual accesses any single piece of information inside of Verifyle. So each data item inside of Verifyle has been individually encrypted, such that even if somebody were to break past our encryption, which they won't, all they'd be able to access would be a single data item, and that's it. There's no potential for someone to break into Verifyle and scoop mass amounts of data to gain what we call bulk access, as they've done with so many other systems out there, both in the public and private sectors, including JP Chase, Experian, Home Depot, Target, Hilton, Wendy's, Sony, Verizon, Anthem, to the tune of something like 80 million individuals' data files, and Equifax to the tune of something like 140 million individuals' data files. With Verifyle, there's no real incentive for someone to try and hack in the first place, because there's not that potential for a large-scale return on that hacker's efforts. So this is a huge reduction in risk for anyone who uses Verifyle. In fact, we would go as far as to say that it's a complete game changer in terms of your overall information risk profile. We'll talk more about how this impacts you directly as we go through today's demonstration. And please do bear in mind during the demonstration that you'll be seeing all of this from my perspective, the perspective of a user. And even though Verifyle is backed by all this encryption technology, by all of this security, as users, we don't need to create any encryption keys, memorize any encryption keys, manage or share any encryption keys at all. It all happens automatically, completely behind the scenes. Let's take a look. So here we are at the sign-in screen for Verifyle, and you can access this by using any of the major browsers. It doesn't matter whether you're using a Mac, a PC, or a tablet computer. You're also welcome to use our handy mobile app if you would like. So I'm going to sign in, and I have selected the option inside of Verifyle such that an authenticator code is being requested of me. This is a code that appears on my mobile device, in this case, my mobile phone, and changes every 30 seconds. The benefit of using such a code is that even if somebody does somehow get a hold of my password, they still won't be able to access my Verifyle system unless they also have my mobile phone. And I do have the ability to click in this little box right here to indicate to Verifyle, hey, Verifyle, if you see that sign-in attempts in the future are coming from this browser and this device, there's no need to ask for that additional authenticator code. But if the sign-in attempt is coming from anything else, then you should definitely ask for the authenticator code. So I will type in that authenticator code, like that. And now I'm inside Verifyle. And the first thing I want to point out to you is that you can see the NSA logo here at the top center of the screen. That is the default logo inside of your Verifyle Pro system. And if you share information with anyone using your Verifyle Pro system, they will see that logo. However, you have the option to swap that logo out for any logo of your choosing by simply clicking on your name at the top right and then going into account settings and adding any logo that you would like. We'll take a deeper look in that area in just a moment here. The other thing I want to point out to you is that there are essentially 2 major areas of Verifyle. There is the Workspaces area, which we're in right now, and then there is the Contacts area. Let's begin there. So I'm going to click on the Contacts tab, click. And now here you can see my list of contacts inside of Verifyle. These are people with whom I can securely, quickly communicate with on a one-to-one basis anytime that I would like, just by clicking on their name like that. And it opens up a private messages area between me and that particular individual. And then I can type any message that I would like, and also click on the paperclip symbol here to securely upload any file or files that I would like to share with that person. Let's look at a little bit more realistic situation. Let's say I meet a new individual, Christine Carson, and I want to instantly be able to securely communicate with Christine. All I need to do is click on the plus symbol in the Contacts tab and type in her name and email address, like that. And now you can see that the Verifile system has added Christine Carson's name to my contacts list, private messages with Christine Carson. And so here I can type any message that I would like to Christine. And I can click on the paperclip symbol and upload to her any file that I would like, just like that. And then I click send. That information is encrypted as it is pulled into Verifile. The private message, hi Christine, along with the document annuity policy. Okay, and the annuity policy is expanded on over here where I can do a number of things with it, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. But the important thing for you to have in your mind right now is that Verifile has behind the scenes automatically sent an email alert to Christine Carson, which lands in her regular email box and informs her that I, Dana Shibley, using the secure system Verifile, am sharing with her an annuity policy document and also a private message securely inside of Verifile. She cannot access that content via the email alert that was sent to her from Verifile. She simply has been alerted that that information awaits her inside of Verifile. Why is that? Because email is not secure. We don't want to be sending sensitive information back and forth via email. However, Christine can click on that link in that email alert, which will bring her into Verifile, where she can choose to either create her own password or click straight through on the automatically generated password and instantly access the private message, hi Christine, and also the annuity policy inside of Verifile. If she looks at that annuity policy, I will instantly receive an email alert letting me know that has happened. If she downloads the annuity policy, I will similarly also receive an email alert letting me know that has happened. And those two access instances will be logged in Verifile for me to see anytime that I would like. So I'm aware of what's happening on the other side of my communication. Let's quickly look from Christine's perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and now sign in as Christine Carson. Okay, I would have received an email alert, or as Christine, I might have already been inside of Verifile, in which case I would see the internal alert here, that there's information inside of the contacts area for me. And I, Christine, can see that Dana Shibley is sharing with me a private message, hi Christine, and also an annuity policy document, which I can open by clicking here or by clicking here. If I preview, look at this document, Dana will instantly receive an email alert. If I download it, you'll also receive an email alert to that effect. And I can type a message for Dana right here. And I can also click on this paperclip symbol to upload a document to Dana if I would like. I'm just going to type a little bit more of a message to him. Like that. Okay, now let's go back again and look from Dana's perspective. So as you can see, I'm now back into Verifile as Dana, and I can see the message that Christine Carson has typed back to me. So the main point here is to show you how by simply clicking on the Contacts tab, that you can instantly, securely communicate on a one-to-one basis with anyone at all, okay? So it's very easy to get up and rolling, communicating securely inside of Verifile. Now, at some point in time, it might occur to me that because of my conversations with Christine and the information she's sending to me inside of Verifile here, that this might become a much deeper communication relationship that I have with Christine, where I'm going to need some higher level communication capability. In other words, I might need to involve some other people in the communication, like her husband. She's also indicated to me that she might want to get her business partner and possibly her attorney involved in communicating with me as well. Additionally, she has pointed out to me that not only is she interested in me helping out with her taxes, but she's also interested in me helping out with respect to her estate planning. And so those might be two separate threads of communication where different people are involved and different documents and messages are shared. Okay, these are all the types of capabilities that are involved in deeper business communication relationships and things that I can handle extremely well by using Workspaces. So I'm going to go up here and click on the Workspaces tab. Okay, and here you can see a number of workspaces that I've already set up. These are situations in which I'm communicating most likely using a lot of documents. There might be multiple people involved. There might be multiple threads under each of these particular workspaces, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to set up such a workspace for Christine Carson. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol here. And I'm going to call this workspace Client Christine Carson. Okay, there's the new workspace right there. And you'll note that it's hosted by me, Dana Shibley, because I am the creator of this workspace. All right, that's why I'm the host. I'm the person who's very much large and in charge of exactly what happens inside of this workspace. I'm the orchestrator, if you will. Everyone else that I put inside of this workspace will be a guest. Okay, they won't have the same level of capabilities as I do. For instance, I'm the only one who can add people and take away people from this workspace. I'm the only one who can add new topics, threads to this workspace, and also take them away. Those are just a few examples of the capabilities that I get as the host of a workspace. Let's click on this and go in. Click. All right, so now I'm inside the workspace called Client Christine Carson. Okay, and it's basically blank, but I'm being prompted to add a guest. So I'll click here and add a guest. The first person I'm going to add is Christine Carson. So I do a search for Christine and I add her to this workspace. So her name has been added into the guests area of this workspace. And the Verifyle system has recognized that I already began a private messages communication with Christine from the contacts area, and that it might be very convenient for me to still have access to that one-to-one communication with Christine, even though I'm inside of the workspace area here. Remember that the reason we created this workspace in the first place was so that we could get access to the higher level communication capabilities, which we can gain access to inside of workspace threads. So I'm going to click the plus symbol here for workspace threads. And I'm going to name the first workspace thread Tax Planning. Okay. I'm going to create another workspace thread called Estate Planning. Like that. Okay. So I click on the Tax Planning workspace thread. You can see that it's private. There are no messages yet, and no guests have access yet. That's why it's private. And if I look in the center here, I can also see no guests have access yet. I need to tell Verifyle who I want to have access to this workspace thread. How do I do that? I simply move my cursor down here, and you'll notice that as I move my cursor around, little gear symbols become visible. When you're in Verifyle, if you ever become unclear about what to do next, simply go to the gear. When things are unclear, go to the gear. So I'm going to click on the gear symbol here, and then click on Manage Permissions. Okay, so I'm going to give access to Christine Carson, just like that. And now you can see that Christine Carson has access to the tax planning workspace thread. But recall that she also asked me to add her husband. So again, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on the gear symbol, click on Manage Permissions, and I'm going to add her husband. Now her husband's not going to be in my contacts list because I've never communicated with him before. So I'll click on the plus symbol, and let's say that her husband's name is Sammy Spouse. So I'll add him, just like that. There he is. And now I can see that Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse both have access to the tax planning workspace thread. So I'll type a message here for both of them. And click on the paperclip symbol to add in a few tax documents. How about like this? And I can simply drag and drop these documents if I would like. There we go. And now I click send. That information is encrypted as it's pulled into Verifyle. And I can see here that Christine and Sammy both have access to this message and these 3 documents. I can see the 3 documents expanded on over here. And you should note that as I move my cursor, again, I see the gear symbols pop up. If I go ahead and I click on a gear symbol, I will see a number of options that I have with respect to this particular document, including viewing the entire access history of who has looked at this document or who has accessed this document, how many times, when, et cetera, et cetera. I can download the single document, download multiple documents, and I can delete this document, but only I can delete this document. Why? Because I am the host of this workspace. Christine and Sammy don't have the ability to do that because they are guests in this workspace. Okay, let's go over quickly to the other workspace thread, which is estate planning. I go ahead and click on the gear symbol to determine who gets access by clicking on manage permissions. I'm going to give access to Christine and Sammy, just like that. And let's say that Christine has asked me to also involve her attorney. So what do? When things are unclear, I go to the gear. I click on the gear symbol, click manage permissions, and I'm going to bring in her attorney named Lisa Lawyer, just like that. Okay, all 3 of them now have access, and I'll type a message. First, I'll welcome Lisa. And work on estate planning issues. Okay, I'll add some documents here related to estate planning. How about fiduciary agreement, last will and testament, life insurance policy, and living trust documents. I will drag and drop those 4 documents in, just like that. And now you can see that these 3 individuals have access to these 4 documents. And over here on the right, I can look at any one of the documents and I can look at the colored tiles beneath each document, which I can cross-reference with the names over here on the left to quickly get a sense for exactly who's got access to what. Okay, one more thing I want to show you here. Let's say that I would like to have access to some reference materials right at my fingertips whenever I'm thinking about the client, Christine Carson. Well, that's easy enough to do. All I need to do is click on the plus symbol here, and I'm going to create a workspace thread called my reference materials. There it is. Private, no guests have access yet. Also up here, no guests have access yet. And I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol, and I'm going to pull in a few documents, just like this. Okay. There are 3 documents that I just added, but note that nobody has access to these documents. Why? I haven't given anybody access to these documents. This workspace thread remains private. So each of these documents is protected via 6 unique encryption keys, just like every other document that happens to be in Verifyle and might be shared with somebody else. These documents are essentially in secure, encrypted storage inside of Verifyle and available at my fingertips whenever I'm thinking about client Christine Carson, whether it be related to estate planning or tax planning. And as many of you have probably already guessed, if at some point in the future I'd like to share these documents, I can simply go over here, click on the gear symbol, and give access as I would like to. All right, so hopefully all of you are now getting a sense for how I can use a workspace to set up workspace threads, which effectively function as dynamic subfolders within the larger framework of the workspace client Christine Carson. And when I say dynamic subfolders, I say that because I can, in real time, change exactly who has access to each of these workspace threads and what documents are and are not in each of these workspace threads. Okay, and this is of real advantage in those types of scenarios where you might have a client who would really appreciate you giving them essentially what is a portfolio view of their information. In other words, you might have a long-term client who, when he signs into Verifile, sees a workspace thread entitled Taxes 2022, 2021, 2020, et cetera, et cetera. And if that person happens to work in real estate or heavy equipment, there's a workspace thread called Depreciation Issues, and so on and so forth, right? And that reflects well back on you, that they can go in and they see how professionally you've organized that information for them. I'm not saying every client's going to appreciate that, but certainly some of them will, okay? And what this also does, this workspace thread structure within the workspace here, is it gives each individual that I include in any particular workspace thread kind of a custom view of just the information that's relevant to them. Let's go ahead and take a quick look from client Christine Carson's perspective again. So I'm back into Verifile as client Christine Carson, and in the workspaces area, I can see that I have an alert for the new workspace called client Christine Carson. I would have also received an email alert, of course. And inside the client Christine Carson workspace, which is hosted by Dana Shibley, I can see that I have access to 2 workspace threads, right? I don't see all 3 workspace threads because Dana didn't give me access to one of them. In fact, Dana might have 25 other workspace threads related to servicing me, but he hasn't given me access to all of them. I don't even know that they exist. Only the host, Dana, controls that. But in these 2 workspace threads, I can see the information that Dana's given me access to. And after I look at each one, it clears the alert for that workspace thread. Similarly, I can go into the workspace thread on estate planning and view this information as well. And let's say that I want to take a deeper look at the life insurance policy. If I preview, look at this document like that, that just sent an email alert to Dana. Similarly, if I download this document, that also just sent an email alert to Dana. Okay, we'll see a record of that in just a moment. Okay, as Christine Carson, when I'm looking in here and looking at all this information that has transpired with regard to estate planning, let's say that after some months, I'm thinking about this and start wondering why I'm paying so much in monthly fees to Lisa Lawyer, but it seems like I'm not getting a lot of value from her at all. In fact, the more I think about this, the more I determine that I don't want Lisa Lawyer to be involved with my estate planning anymore. And I don't want her to be in this workspace thread. Can I remove Lisa Lawyer from this workspace thread, estate planning? No, I cannot. Why? Because I am also a guest inside of this workspace thread. Only the host, Dana Shibley, can get rid of Lisa Lawyer here. So I can type a message for Dana here, asking him to get rid of the attorney, Lisa Lawyer, but I'm probably not going to type it here, right? Because Lisa would also see that message. However, at any time, I can click right here on the host, Dana Shibley's name, and type a private message to Dana, the same one that I accessed initially from the contacts area. Please get rid of this attorney, or perhaps something a little more gracefully stated. Okay, now let's go back and look from Dana's perspective again. And I click here to look at private messages from Christine Carson, and I can see that she is telling me to get rid of the attorney. The only place in here that we have an attorney is in the estate planning workspace thread. So I, Dana, the consummate tax professional here, go into the estate planning workspace thread, and I click on the gear symbol here, and I'm going to click on Manage Permissions, and I am going to remove Lisa Lawyer's access, just like that. And now you can see that Lisa Lawyer is gone from the estate planning workspace thread, although any content that she added in here would remain. Okay, so in reality, there might be hundreds of time and date stamped messages in here and many, many documents as well. Anything that Lisa Lawyer had put in here would remain, so that when Christine Carson asks me to add her new attorney, for which I go to the gear symbol, click on Manage Permissions, and then add Lenny Lawyers, like that, Lenny lawyers will now have access to the entire historical record of comments and documents that have been added here, including information put in by the prior attorney, Lisa Lawyer. So in about 20, 30 seconds there, I effectively moved this historical record of information from one attorney to another. Try doing that using email or email attachments. It's darn near impossible. With Verifyle, that's a very, very handy tool to have. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to point out to you is I'm very concerned about the life insurance policy because it was a little bit non-standard, and I want to be sure that everyone is aware of what's going on here. So who has access to this life insurance policy? I can click on the gear symbol, then I can click on View Access History, and I see here that Lenny Lawyers has not yet accessed the life insurance policy, nor has Sammy's spouse. But Christine Carson has already looked at it 2 times. And if I click here, I can see the exact dates and times that Christine Carson has accessed this particular document. If she's looked at this a dozen times, I will see all those access instances here. And that's probably a pretty good tip-off to me that she's quite interested or concerned about this document, right? Similarly, if she just accessed it 10 minutes ago and I have a phone call scheduled with her in 15 minutes, that's a good tip-off to me that I better be ready to discuss that particular document with her, right? So these are all ways that I can stay on top of this situation, that I can be on my toes and better service my client. If I close out here, I want to also point out to you that regardless of whether you're working inside of a private message thread or a workspace thread here like estate planning, at any time you can click on someone's name to see when they were last inside of that thread, regardless of whether or not they did anything. So Lenny Lawyers hasn't been in here yet, which is okay. I just gave him access to this about 10 minutes ago, right? But if I click on Christine Carson's name, I can see the last date and time that she was here inside this workspace thread. Again, giving me a sense of real recency in terms of this information being in Christine's mind. All of this helps heighten my situational awareness and allows me to better service my client. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at electronic signatures inside of Verifyle. So what I'm going to do is go to the tax planning workspace thread, and I'm going to type a message. Please sign this document. Okay, and I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol, and what should I bring in here? I'm just going to bring in an engagement letter, which I probably would have brought in earlier. All right, so I brought this engagement letter in. If I click send here, then all it does is share that document with Christine Carson and Sammy's spouse. But I want a signature, an electronic signature, 2 electronic signatures, in fact. So I'm going to click in this box right here and then click send. All right, I want both of these individuals to sign this document, first Christine Carson and then Sammy's spouse. Okay, and I can change those orders if I would like to, but I want Christine to sign first. So I'm going to do that. I want Christine to sign first and then Sammy's spouse. Okay, so I click next. For Christine Carson, do I want to require her to agree to the terms below before signing the document? Okay, and by the way, I can change those terms to be anything that I would like them to be. All right, and the answer is yes, I do want her to agree to these terms before she's allowed to sign the document. If not, I would simply click right here that she doesn't need to agree to anything. She can simply go directly to signing the document. Okay, do I want to add SMS verification? Yes, I do want to add SMS verification to this process. So I'm going to click on yes, and I'm going to type in Christine Carson's verified phone number, her mobile number that I know. All right, so I will type that in here, just like that. Okay, and now Verifyle is requesting that I answer the same questions about Sammy's spouse and him signing the document. Do I want to require him to agree to the terms below? Yes. Do I want to add SMS verification? Yes. So I'll click here, and I will add in Sammy's phone number, like that. Okay, And now I can see for Christine Carson, using my mouse, which moves this cursor on my screen, I can go and draw a rectangle where I want her signature to be. So I can click inside the rectangle here and choose whether I want that to be a signature, initials, or a date, or even a custom field. I want it to be a signature. And let's say that I want a date to go here. So I click, and I want to choose that date format. There we go. So I finished setting this up for Christine Carson, and now I'm going to click Next Signer, and I need to do the same thing for Sammy Spouse. So let's say that I want Sammy to sign here. Okay. And instead of a date, let's say, just for example, that I want him to initial here, like that. And then I click Finish Request, Submit Request. And so now an email alert has been sent to Christine Carson, letting her know that the engagement letter awaits her signature inside of Verifile. And after Christine signs, then Sammy's signature will be requested as well. Let's see what this looks like from Christine Carson's perspective. So if I go in as Christine Carson to the tax planning workspace thread, I can see that I, Christine, my signature is being requested. So I can click here to review and sign. Do I agree to do business electronically? Yes, I do. If I click no, I will not be allowed to proceed. So I click on yes, and the 7-digit code, which has been texted to my mobile phone that my tax professional, Dana, knows, that 7-digit code has been sent to me. So I retrieve that 7-digit code. Click submit, and I either edit or confirm my signature. I'm going to confirm it. Okay, and I can confirm that the signature goes here and that the date goes here. Okay. And now I, Christine, can see that I have signed the engagement letter and that Sammy has been notified that he should go in and sign the engagement letter as well. Let's go back and look from Dana's perspective. So now I'm back in as Dana, the tax professional, and I can see that Christine has signed this document and that Sammy has been notified that we are waiting for his signature. Okay, and I can click here, or I can click over here and click on preview, and I can see that Christine Carson's signature is already here, right? And I'm awaiting Sammy's signature. And by the way, at any point in this process, I can also go over and click on View Signing Information to look at the Document Signing Audit Report, which provides all the metadata related to signature occurrences on this document. So for example, here I can see Christine Carson's unique user ID inside of Verifile. I can see that I was the requester, and I can see the original document before the signature was requested on it. And I can see the IP address for Christine Carson as required per IRS regulations. I can see that Christine has agreed to do business electronically. She's accepted that. And also that she has successfully passed SMS verification. Okay, I can click here on print to either print that out to hard copy or create a PDF anytime that I would like to. All right, and after Sammy's spouse goes in and signs this document, you will see metadata related to his signature also for this document. All right, so some of that's probably new for those of you on the demo today that have been using Verifile for some time. The other thing I want to point out to you is that there is unlimited PDF editing capability inside of Verifile now. So for any PDF document, you can click on Preview and then click on the pen symbol here, and you have the ability to change the order of the pages in any PDF document. You can click on the X to delete pages from any PDF document. You can click on Add Annotation to go ahead and add annotation as you would like to any document. And you can click on Merge Documents to merge multiple documents into a single document in Verifile. So all of this is very handy. You don't have to pay anything for it. Use it at an unlimited level inside of your Verifyle Pro system. All right, so let's close out of here. And one more thing I'd like to point out to you before we move on, when you're working inside of a workspace, there's a nice little shortcut here, and that is that you can click on any document, image, like this, and you can drag and drop that document into any other workspace thread or into any private message accessible inside of that workspace as well. All right, so you can drop it into a one-to-one private message if you would like. Very handy when you're navigating inside of a workspace in Verifyle. Okay, so hopefully all of you are now getting a good sense for how you can put a workspace to use in terms of both the workspace threads that serve as dynamic subfolders within the broader framework of the workspace, and also how you can click on any individual's name to have a secure one-to-one communication with that individual anytime that you would like. Now, people often overlook how powerful this workspace environment is until they've been using Verifyle for a little while. Most people begin using Verifyle because of the security, the encryption capability inside of Verifyle. But if you talk to them after they've been using Verifyle for several months, many of them will tell you that it is this ability to see and understand a particular client situation all within a single workspace pane of glass that is arguably the most compelling thing about Verifyle. If Christine Carson were to call me right out of the blue, the fact that I can see all of the guests associated with the client Christine Carson workspace, all of the topical threads here associated with the workspace, and also be able to look at the key documents inside of this single pane of glass is extremely powerful, because what it does is it makes the entire client Christine Carson engagement more tangible. And when you make something more tangible, it's much easier to wrap your head around it. And when you can wrap your head around something like that, it allows you to elevate beyond the details and work at a much more strategic level. There are companies here in our part of the country, Silicon Valley, that will try and have you believe that powerful software is characterized by software that has multiple modules, multiple pages, and so on and so forth. But actually, nothing could be farther from the truth. Great software allows you to understand more while looking at less. It allows you to accomplish more while doing less. And Verifyle allows you to do that. Okay, let's move ahead here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the home icon here. And I want to point out a couple of workspaces to you that I've set up in advance. One of them is Company ABC, Financial Reports and Records. This is, for example, a small business client that I have. So I can click on this workspace right here, and I can see that the guests are effectively key people working inside of Company ABC. And I can securely and selectively communicate with any one of these individuals at any time that I would like, and share selected documents and so on and so forth. I've also set up very handy workspace threads for sales planning, management financials, legal actions, tax related, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm acting as a professional to manage taxation and also various financial matters for this particular company. Similarly, I might have a client called Rockefeller family, and maybe it's a high net worth family that has a number of different business financial interests as well as family financial interests, and I'm helping them manage all of that. So I'm going to click on this workspace for Rockefeller family. And let's say that my point contact there is Ricky Rockefeller. And Ricky Rockefeller has a number of different financial documents that many people are interested in. Documents such as his life insurance policy, his last will and testament, his asset list, and so on and so forth. In fact, he's got immediate and extended family members, including Rhonda Rockefeller and Susie's stepsister, who are very interested in that information. And he has a number of professional service providers that are very interested, including his financial advisor, Arnold Advisor, Ed Executive, his business partner, Larry Lenderbank, and so on and so forth. And it sure is nice that I can securely communicate with all of these individuals in his network using Verifyle, and that I can set up appropriate workspace threads, such as legal requirements, cash flows, tax considerations, and so on and so forth, so that the right people get access to the right documents. And I also have confirmation of exactly who has accessed what. So what I'm trying to say here in too many words is that not only am I acting as the tax professional for Ricky Rockefeller, but I'm stepping up my game to become a professional steward of his information and making sure that the right people in his network, family and professional, get access to the right documents per his instructions and my consultations with him. And I've got records of all of that. So all of this is part of upping my game to better service my clients and create a sticky relationship here, right? Very sticky relationship that also might lead to some situations where I get referrals to some of the people in Ricky Rockefeller's network because they like how I'm securely managing and selectively sharing this information as a professional. Okay, let's go back home and let's go to the Contacts tab again. Remember, in the Contacts tab, this is where I can click on any individual's name and quickly and easily open up a secure one-to-one communication with that individual. I can click on the plus symbol to add individuals' names and contact information on a one-by-one basis, or I can use the CSV file format to bulk upload contact information from any other software system into Verifyle. If I do that, it will automatically fully populate my contacts list in Verifyle. So all I need to do is click on an individual's name to securely communicate one-to-one with that particular person and not have to worry about typing in each person's name and email address each time I add them to Verifyle. Similarly, when I create a workspace, that information will automatically populate and I don't have to worry about typing it in all the time. So in order to bulk upload contact information to Verifyle, you can go to youtube.com and type in Verifyle contacts, and there is a mini tutorial video there that will show you exactly how to do that. Very easy. It's a very short video. If you have problems, then just email us at support@verifyle.com and we'll be happy to help you out. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is that if you go and click on your name at the top right of your Verifyle system and then go into account settings, you will see where you can edit your name inside of Verifyle, where you can change your email address, edit your signature, swap out the NSA logo for any logo of your choosing, and you can see exactly how much of your CelluCrypt encrypted storage that you have used. So here I have used up a tiny fraction of 1% of my total encrypted storage space. You can see here that I have alerts set at automatically send. This makes it so that whenever I add a message or documents into Verifyle, the appropriate people automatically receive an email alert without me having to do anything. Document activity alerts, these are what allow me to receive an email alert indicating to me that someone has looked at or downloaded a document that I shared with them. I would leave that on as well. And message edit, I have as on. All right, this impacts not only the private message threads, but also the workspace threads. Some of you may choose to make these uneditable, and you can do that by clicking right here. Okay, block list, blocking someone inside of Verifyle is not a bad thing. It simply makes it so that whenever that person adds information into Verifyle for you, you will not receive an email alert, although you will still see an internal alert inside of Verifyle. So for example, if you're inside of Verifyle all the time and you're regularly receiving information from someone else who's using Verifyle, you probably don't need an email alert every time that person adds something because you will see that alert inside of your Verifyle system. Security settings, you can change the password inside of your Verifyle system by clicking here. Session management, this is something that I recommend that all of you use. If you click here, you will see if you've left any Verifyle sessions open on other browsers or other devices, and you'll have the option to log out of those. And importantly, there is a nice slider here that you can click on and indicate to Verifyle the amount of time after which, if you have been inactive in your Verifyle system, you will automatically be signed out. Okay, I like to leave this at 1 or 2 hours. This is very handy for those of you who might forget to log out of your system from time to time. This is where I can turn on and off two-factor authentication. That was the revolving authenticator code that I used at the beginning of today's demo to sign in. And there is also password reset capability, which is currently on. I have the ability to turn this off in Verifyle, and this is an extremely powerful security feature. Arguably, the weakest point of the internet is that posed by email. There's a huge black market out there for email credentials, and if somebody gets a hold of your email credentials, there's a high likelihood they're going to gain access to your email, after which not only will they look in your trash box and your sent box and your various folders for information to monetize, but some of those people will dig even deeper and try to figure out what various online services that you're using and proceed to each of those services and look for some type of link that allows for a password reset because, quote unquote, you've forgotten your password or you need to reset your password. So that individual who has hijacked your email account may click on such a link, and that causes the service to send a password reset email to your hijacked email account, enabling that person to effectively go in and change the password to a number of your various online services. It's a bold attempt to effectively hijack a good portion of your online identity and access capabilities. This type of thing is happening to people all over the place every single day, and it's a nightmare. With Verifyle, you can effectively shut down this type of breach to your Verifyle system by turning off password reset capability. I use this feature and I rest well at night knowing that my information is safe and secure inside of Verifyle and not even the people at Verifyle can access it. However, I've taken that extra precaution to write my password down and put it someplace safe and secure, because I also know that I can never forget, I can never lose that password. This is all a very kind way of me telling you that if you turn off password reset capability, you will have an extremely high level of security, but you are fully taking on the burden of managing your security. To say it more bluntly, you can't forget your password or you will never see your information in Verifyle again, because even we can't get you back in. Now, some of you probably are very excited about that and want that level of security. And I probably also just scared a number of you. If you go down this path, Verifyle will give you a warning about having to be very cautious about that. Okay. All right, let's go back to the home screen here. And I will point out a couple more things here that I think you will find useful to get up and rolling with Verifyle. One is that if you're in the contacts area, at any time, you can go over to this tab here on the right and decide whether you want the contacts sorted by recency, updated date, first name, last name, or email address. Similarly, when you're in your Workspaces tab, you can also go over here and you can, again, determine exactly how your workspaces are sorted. And then we commonly get questions about how long that information resides inside of Verifyle. It stays there permanently unless you delete it. So for example, in the workspace that we created called Client Christine Carson, I can at any time go ahead and delete any document that I would like by clicking here, simply because I am the host of this workspace. Similarly, I can click on the gear symbol here and delete the entire workspace thread if I would like to, because I am the host of this workspace. And I can also go to my home screen if I would like. And if I want to delete the entire workspace, Client Christine Carson, yes, I can do that, but it is a two-step process. And the way that I do that is by clicking on the gear symbol here. And first I archive the workspace. Now, if I click archive right here, you can see there in gray is the workspace Client Christine Carson. It's no longer in the colored workspace area. And by the way, if somebody adds new information to this workspace, such as a new document or a message or something like that, it will automatically kick back up into the active workspace area. Or I can click on the gear symbol to click Unarchive Workspace, which will also kick it up to the colored workspace area. But if I really want to delete it, the entire workspace, I click here, Delete Workspace. And only I can do this because I'm the host of the workspace. So I click Delete Workspace, and then I click OK. And that workspace is now completely gone. So I hope all of you now have a good sense for how you can quickly get up and rolling with your Verifyle Pro system. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to email us at support@verifyle.com. Thank you very much for watching today's presentation. We greatly appreciate the partnership that we have in place with NSA and all of its members. Goodbye.